Now, our topic today, personal data security, we have the pleasure of having two experts that can really help us on this particular area. Our first expert is Chris Schroeder. He's the Vice President of Information Security for Lowe's. And obviously for a corporation like that, to have under his power and his responsibility would be governance, compliance, vulnerability assessments, and the like, that to make sure that corporation's data is secure. And so for us, we have data that's just as valuable that we need to keep secure too. So we can lever, obviously, Chris's expertise in this area to help us. We also have with us Ken Roby, who for 37 years has been a consultant, helping corporations also to become compliant, helping to identify vulnerabilities in their systems, and also able to assess risk, something that maybe we haven't had the time to do or thought about doing as nonprofits, but is vitally important that we're able to do that. So with this, I want to make sure I give them as much time as possible so you're not hearing me all day, but you want to hear Chris and Ken. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris as he'll start us off. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to start off here talking about social engineering. Anyone know what social engineering is? Any idea? What do you think it is? Sorry, me.
The clever manipulation of natural human tendencies.
Or a fancy title, right? Social engineering is essentially a con job. That's all it is. Somebody getting you to give them information. Now, most people think of social engineering as if I were to call you up and ask for your password. Now, a lot of you go, I wouldn't do that. Well, you'd be surprised. That's the art of social engineering. But not always is what the fraudster is trying to do is get your password. Now, if you take a company as large as Lowe's, imagine how social engineering is extremely difficult for us to bypass. And we are victims of social engineering every day. And guess who is the culprit of social engineering? Salespeople. They want information about what we're doing and who to contact. So a social engineer could be doing something as simple as trying to get a name of somebody. You know, an example of social engineering that I've seen is somebody call up somebody at Lowe's and say, hey, what is the serial number of the printer that you connect to? Big deal, right? Who cares about the serial number of a printer? So you wouldn't think, oh, you know, my warning bells are going off. I better not do that. It's a pretty minor thing, other than the inconvenience of going and doing that for somebody. But if they can get you to do that, you give it to them. No big deal. But guess what happens when somebody has a social security number of your printer? They start sending bills for maintenance on your printers. And as evidence, they give the social security number. Not the social security number, the serial number. I'm thinking of other type of data security. That's a simple way of getting fraud perpetrated. Any information that is not publicly available is valuable to somebody performing social engineering. Now, what is not available out there on the internet? I mean, how many of you have ever done a vanity search where you just go out to Google and look for your name to see what's available out there? Come on. Just about everybody. I mean, I do it all the time. But do you ever find a lot of information? Sometimes. I mean, it's becoming more popular now because there's more websites that you can go to. You know, the people.com, PIPL.com is a pretty nifty site. You know, you've gone to Zillow, right? You can find information out there, not about an individual, but at least their home. You got Zaba Search is another website. If you go to Zaba Search, put in a name and a state, you'd be surprised what you can find about people. Find out where they live. And now that you know where they live, you go to Zillow and put that address in and find out how much they bought the house for, what size the house is, get a nice satellite picture of the house, find out who their neighbors are, how much taxes do they pay. Some counties you go to, and you can find out who the mortgage company is on that house, how much they're paying the mortgage. Sometimes you can find the mortgage account number sitting out there. And still, sometimes you will find people's social security numbers sitting out there. All of this information is readily available. So not as often does people have to call to get the information about you. They can actually go online and do a search. But now what they may want to do is try to trick you into doing something. For example, does your credit card company ever call you and say, we have fraud occurring on your credit card? Yes, you have those calls. But on that same call, when they call you, do they then ask you to validate with your personal information? No, they don't. You may think they do, but they don't. They will call you and ask you to return the call back to the number that's on your credit card, or they will just tell you information, but they will not ask you for your personal information. But that's something that a lot of people don't realize. So if you get that phone call and it says, you know, this is Wells Fargo or Chase calling, we've detected fraud on your credit card, first thing we need to do is validate some information. Could you please give us your social security number? Wrong, don't do it. They will never do that. Same thing with an email. You will not get an email from your bank that says you need to change your passwords. Click here to change your password. They will not do that. Now they may send you an email, say, we are updating our systems. Please log on to update the information about you, but they will not give you a link to that site. You must open up a browser and type it in yourself. That prevents phishing attacks. A phishing attack is where you're going to a website that is different than the real website.